This video could be just about one of the most important videos I've ever made. The reason I say that is there are a lot of people out there right now making terrible mistakes. So watch the rest of the video and I'll explain exactly what I mean. I am not a financial advisor, so you should always carry out your own due diligence and seek your own independent advice before getting into anything. And of course, never use money that you cannot afford to lose on anything you do go into. Sometimes I may be paid some form of introductory remuneration as an introducer with some of the company's products and services that I present. This is coinmarketcap.com. I'm sure most of you are familiar with it. And talking of familiarity, there has been a familiar pattern pretty much this entire year, but especially since the troubles in the Ukraine started with the Russian invasion, and more latterly, since inflation has become a paramount talking point again around the world. There's massive doom and gloom surrounding pretty much all of the financial markets. And on top of all that, there have been some specific crisis moments in cryptocurrency itself. And the conclusion, of course, is that the naysayers around the world have all got together and patted themselves on the back and wallowed in their own self-importance and have started to really make an impact in convincing the world that cryptocurrency has no future and that anyone that gets involved is insane. Well, I'm here to tell you that cryptocurrency, in its generic sense, is the only future that you really have. If you think there is any chance that the old school financial system is going to help you with your future, then you need to seriously look again. I mentioned inflation earlier. It's just been announced in the UK yesterday that interest rates are up to 1.25%. That's the highest they've been in some time, since 2009. In the US, they hiked the interest rates by 0.75% a few days ago, and of course we followed suit. And that's the highest individual daily rate rise since 1994. All of this means something, whether we want to ignore it or not. And as if that wasn't enough, we have a squeeze on oil because of the Russia-Ukraine scenario. We have, as a result of that, massively increasing energy bills. People don't really understand yet what those increased energy bills are going to look like, because the real impact is going to hit us in October. And food prices, of course, are increasing because the Ukraine is important in terms of it being one of the bread baskets of the world. I could go on, but this video isn't about me telling you how bad everything is out there economically, because you know. Now, sometimes people know things and they ignore it, but also when people are generally depressed about financial aspects of life, the financial situation, it doesn't take anything at all to convince them that what they've been doing or what they were considering doing was completely wrong. And that's really what this video is about. If you like, there's one distinct message in this video, and that is that as bad as it seems, you've got to kind of knuckle down, dig in, and find things that are going to increase your income. Now, we can't all go out and work extra hours to bring in extra income and to make life okay in that respect. Some of us are privileged and lucky in that we've already built wealth that we can live on. Some of us are lucky in that we run our own businesses and we can easily increase the amount of money we take from that business. But the majority are stuck in a horrible situation where the only way out is to work longer hours, use more time, become even more tired, and get where? I don't know. So let me focus on the cryptocurrency downfall that we've been experiencing, and it's been going on for some time, but it's just been almost unbearable in the latter part of May and June. But it isn't unique. It doesn't mean, as a lot of people have you believe, that it's the end. Okay, so I'm going to focus on Bitcoin because Bitcoin is still the grandfather, really, of cryptocurrencies. And the first thing here is, of course, I want you to notice that the current price of Bitcoin, which is down 1.57% over the day so far, is $20,962. Now, on the one hand, that is a massive drop since its last all-time high last November 2021, when it hit $65,000. It is a humongous drop, but don't kid yourself. Stock markets, shares, all sorts of other things have had a similar type of drop over the same period. It's not just cryptocurrency. Everything is being affected by the current financial crisis. Now, that is still, by the way, higher than the all-time high it reached in late 2017, where it almost hit $20,000. There's an interesting point there that I want to bring to your attention. That is that as bad as the Bitcoin price is right now, it is still higher than its previous all-time high. I'm ignoring the ever-increasing price on its way to the latest all-time high that I mentioned in November. So let's have a look. Let's dig a little bit deeper into Bitcoin and let's analyze Bitcoin's history. Let's go as far as CoinMarketCap will allow us to go. Okay, we can get back to around about May 2013. Now look at this graph and you'll see that when this graph kicks in, it's around about the $100 mark. Bitcoin was $100. So for me, $100 was expensive. I was thinking, wow, this is a lot of money, because I was comparing it with years before that when Bitcoin was cents to buy. 2 cents, 1 cent, maybe $1 or $2 and so on. And if you look here, the end of 2013, Bitcoin hit its first massive milestone all-time high, and there it is there. November 2013, it hit an all-time high when it went past $1,000. $100 to $1,000 felt like that was just fantastic. Then there was a massive crisis, namely called Mt. Gox, which was a big exchange, the biggest exchange of the day. It went down, it went belly up, lots of people lost money, and various other things influenced the price dropping back down. And we went back down, and we were down into the hundreds of dollars rather than the thousands of dollars, but not a massive fall off. Having said that, this is a 50% fall off in its value. It just doesn't seem much because it's still $500 odd, and the highest it had ever been was just over 1,000. So this carried on. This was what we would call a crypto winter. It went right through 2014. It went into 2015. No real signs of picking up and so on. And interesting enough, this sort of period here is when I really started to properly get into Bitcoin. Like a lot of people, I felt a bit scared after that drop from 1,000 down below 1,000 to half of 1,000 and $300, $200. But at the $200 level, I'd started to understand what Bitcoin really was, what it was about. And there was no adoption, there was no ownership of Bitcoin to speak of at all back here. It was just the pioneer time. People who were involved at this stage were part of its development. They were the pioneers. And we move forward. Nothing happens worth mentioning at all until suddenly we get back to 1,000. Now, that is 4 years almost. 4 years after it previously hit $1,000. That period there, that was a crypto winter. Imagine you were a pioneer, you bought some, and you just could not see any change in this price going up, and then suddenly off it went. 2,000, 4,000, 7,000, 8,000, and then ultimately we got up to pretty much $20,000. I can't quite pin it down on this graph because there you go. That'll do. $19,497, and that is December 2017. Significant because of what happened thereafter. Now there was another bursting of the bubble. Bitcoin, which had hit, we'll call it $20,000, it hit $20,000. People were buying like crazy because people unfortunately have this terrible habit of buying at the wrong time. They buy when the market's high and they sell when the market's low. They do the complete reverse of what they should do. And they do that because we are just walking bottles of emotion. And we see opportunities that we didn't get involved in streaking ahead and going forward, and we want to get in when it's coming to the end. It's just the way it works. We buy it when it's too high. I had personal friends who were buying Bitcoin at $17,000, $18,000, $19,000, and then of course the bubble burst again. And by the way, everyone, all these naysayers were having a big meeting again back then, and they were patting each other on the back and saying how wonderful things are and how clever we are because we predicted Bitcoin would crash and burn. And of course that's exactly what it did. It crashed and burned. It hit another horrible crypto winter, and it got all the way down to just $3,000. Now if we go back to 2014, 2015, anyone who held Bitcoin at that time would have loved $3,000 Bitcoin value, almost $4,000, albeit. And it just stayed there forever. We went through the entire 2018 with nothing but a declining market for Bitcoin and other cryptos. And it just seemed to want to stay there forever, but eventually, short little period on the map, the graph, but a very long time if you're living through it. Eventually up it pops again. It gets to just over $10,000. Everyone thinks we're off again, but no, the market wasn't ready, the world wasn't ready. Down it came again, all the way down to 4s and 5s, but then it kind of stuck there and nothing happened for a wee while. But then as 2020 started to move towards its conclusion, sure enough, it went back up, and it went back up in a way you couldn't believe. $61,000 there, and then a big dip. We thought, oh, it's all over again. It dropped right back down to $30,000, but then it forced its way back up until it got up here to over $65,000. That's the highest it's ever been so far. Back it came again, and back it came again, and right now we're here, and the world seems to have come to an end. It's completely fallen off the cliff, and it's down to the 20,000 mark, $20,973 as I speak. Now, what does this tell you? Well, it tells you a couple of things. It tells you that it would seem that there are periods of massive stagnation or falling price, followed by a wonderful peak, a drop off again, massive stagnation. I mean, here's the thing, we don't know how long this current crisis is going to go on because it's being fueled by things we've never seen before. I mean, I have to pinch myself sometimes to believe that I'm living in a world where a European country, because that's what Ukraine is being invaded by a superpower. They're actually being invaded by a superpower. The point is, it hits peaks and it falls. It hits peaks and it falls. And it does appear to be a repeating pattern. But ultimately, we've hit this situation now 3 times. It happened at the end of 2013. It happened at the end of 2017. And it happened again at the end of 2021. So 13, 17, 2021. Bit of a pattern there, wouldn't you say? Seems to be every kind of 4 years, if that's a long enough period to define any patterns. Anyone who's saying this is the end of Bitcoin and therefore cryptocurrency really isn't seeing this pattern. They're not understanding what is going on. There is massive pressure down on the price of Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies at the moment. Let's just go back to the main page just so we can reconfirm it. It's not just Bitcoin, of course, it's happening with everything. We've got Ethereum now at just over $1,000. Ethereum has been as high as $3,000, and Ethereum is often called the Bitcoin killer. But of course, lots of things have been called the Bitcoin killer, and they've yet to kill Bitcoin. So it doesn't matter where you look, it's bloodshed in the cryptocurrency markets, and they're all down and they're all struggling. So is this the time to completely forget about cryptocurrency, give up on it, and sell out and run away? No, of course it isn't. Absolutely it isn't. The interesting counterpoint here is that I am told over and over again that Bitcoin's too expensive. It's too late for me to buy Bitcoin because it's too expensive. And then it plunges, it plummets, and people say, okay, it's not maybe too expensive to buy now, but look at it, it's dying. Why would I want to buy something that's dying? Because they completely missed the point. And the point here is this. We all, unless we're extremely lucky and privileged, we all need to find ways to build something for our future. And in the process of doing that, you have to sometimes go through a lot of pain. You have to pick things that don't work out. And sometimes you have to pick things that don't work out lots of times before you find the odd one thing that works out. And that odd one thing that works out can suddenly give you a foundation upon which you can build long into the future. So at times like this, when things are looking as bad as they could ever be, these are the very times when you have to look for opportunity, and you have to look at different ways to create wealth, increase income. Because let's face it, have any of the old ways worked for you lately? Just ask yourself the question. You know, right now you're probably feeling comfortable if you're a property owner because your house price again has gone up and up and up recently and is looking okay. But do you honestly think that if this current situation continues, that it couldn't impact upon house prices? How would you feel if you thought your house was worth £200,000, but suddenly actually it's worth £50,000? How would that make you feel? That's the real cornerstone of what we tend to build our wealth on. But it can happen because this current economy we live in is completely out of control. It really is. So let's not kid ourselves. Let's not block avenues that could be the way to salvation. Let's not shut doors that could lead to exactly what we need. Keep your mind open to the possibilities. I could be glib now, and I could quite easily say, look, this is the best time that you could possibly find for buying Bitcoin. Well, that's not actually true, because as with everything in life, the best time to do anything was yesterday. Today is the next best opportunity you have. So is Bitcoin going to drop any lower than it is at the moment? I don't know. It's conceivable. I didn't think it would drop below $30,000. It did. I didn't think it would go below $25,000. It did. I didn't think it would hit $20,000, and it did. Are we going to recover soon? Who knows? Who knows? Remember, let's look at all the data again. Some crypto winters can go on for a very long time. 4 years. 4 years. It's 3-4 years. We know we have to face the possibility that it could be another 4 years. Now, there are some good points about what's happening here. I've got to tell you, there are too many crap cryptocurrencies out in the market, and they need to be culled. And hopefully what's happening now will cull a lot of them and get rid of the some of the crap. But there are still some very, very good cryptos out there with projects that make sense. And this is what we have to think about. We have to think about, is there a good project supporting what we're going to put our money into? So I'm literally going into something myself right now, it's brand new to me, that I think has a fabulous future. And for people that I have on my contact list, I will, in due course, give them an opportunity to look at that. Can I say for absolute certainty that it's the best thing I've ever seen, that it's guaranteed to create wealth and extra income? No, I can't. Not in the long term. But what I see certainly ticks the boxes I need to tick for another really good potential project. So that's it. I just wanted to say, please don't make the terrible mistakes that so many people are making right now. Don't write off the whole cryptocurrency, decentralized finance, the blockchain world because you think it's had it because of what's happened in the crypto markets. That is naive. That's the easy way to look at things. You simply saying, yeah, it's dead in the water. It isn't. Adoption into the world of crypto in all its forms right now is the highest it's ever been. And there are so many good projects being developed that we're sport for choice. That's enough from me. Just please don't make those fatal mistakes. I'm holding on to a bunch of cryptocurrencies right now that are worth a fraction of what they were worth 6 months ago, certainly 9 months ago. And it's painful, it hurts. But the ones I have because they're good projects. They're good projects that at the moment have just had a swift kick in the proverbial nuts. But they're good projects, and as long as I can afford to hold on to them, I'm going to hold on to them. And the best way for me to be able to afford to hold on to them is to look for other things quickly that also make a lot of sense that I can add to the portfolio. So that's my attitude. I don't want to sell anything when the market's down. I don't want to follow the sheep and get rid of assets at the worst possible time. I want to build foundations for the future. Thanks for your attention. I'm sorry it went on a bit, but I just had to get that message out there.